How's it going, everybody? It's Al once again coming at you with my best mid-round value picks for your fantasy football drafts. Ways to give you an idea on how to get a leg up on some of your opponents in your friends and family leagues, or your best ball leagues, or your national competition leagues. Guys that you may or may not be thinking about in rounds 5 through 10, because that's where you win those drafts, right? Is if you have, everybody's going to have a stud at the top. Everybody's going to be able to pick their late round guys and then waivers and whatever else is going to come along down the road. But you win this draft in the mid rounds when you pick some real undercover gems that other people haven't thought about or just are undervaluing. And then you can swoop in and take these guys that are going to have great value as the season progresses. If you could, I need 3 forms of payment for this video. 1, click like. 2, subscribe to the channel. 3, make sure you ring that notification bell, because that's the only way to know when I post new videos, and there's going to be a whole lot of them leading up to the NFL season, and all through every week there'll be 3 new videos on YouTube every single week of the NFL season, helping you build your NFL lineups on DraftKings. So let's get right to it. We're going to start out with Rex Burkhead. Let me go to the other studio real quick. We got Rex Burkhead sitting at an ADP of the 32nd running back overall, being taken 72nd pick overall, but that's rising. He's coming up the charts really quickly, especially coming off of that Sony Michel fumble in practice the other day. He averaged 12.33 points in his final 6 games of 2017. Once Mike Gillislee was scratched, he was second on the team in terms of fantasy points per game output to Dion Lewis, but he led the team in snaps at the running back position. 38% of snaps from week 8 on for Rex Burkhead, 37% for Dion Lewis, 33% for James White. 2 of that trio is back this year, and they drafted Sony Michel theoretically to fill the Dion Lewis role, so Rex Burkhead does have a carved out role on this team. Most people are afraid to take a New England running back based on, well, I can't predict what Bill Belichick's going to do. But if you look at the last 3 seasons or so, Belichick has been 3 or 4 seasons actually, since about 2015, he's had very defined roles for his running backs, kind of that do your job mantra. And he has stuck to that. Rex Burkhead should get the early down work. He should split that with Sony Michel based on packages or what they see. They're going to run a lot of no huddle. So if Burkhead's on the field, he's going to stay on the field that drive. If Michel's on the field, he's going to stay on the field that drive. And when they get around the goal line inside the 5, if there is a stoppage in play, Burkhead's package is going to come onto the field. That jumbo package is going to come out there. Burkhead's going to get all the cheap touchdowns, and there are a lot of them to be had in the New England offense. He's got a defined role now. If Sony Michel has any sort of ball security issues, he did have them in college. He came into the draft of all the top running backs with the worst fumble rate per, fumbles per carry, fumbles per touch of all the top running backs in this draft. If Michel continues to have ball security issues, we know what happens to running backs in that Belichick offense on the Patriots who have those issues. They immediately go to the bench, and that means more snaps, more targets, more touches for somebody like Rex Burkhead, who, if nothing else, has been extremely steady in a Patriots uniform. Moving to our next guy. I'm going to have to bounce between studios here. Moving to our next guy, Randall Cobb. Extremely underpriced now based on his ADP. Again, this is another fast riser. If you're drafting right when this video is coming out, and I'm recording this video on the 1st of August, if you're drafting around this time, this ADP may not last for long. Right now, he is the 39th wide receiver off the board. 88.2 overall in terms of best ball drafts. He's healthy again, looking great in training camp so far. He's in the best shape of his life, but who isn't? What football player right now is not in the best shape of their lives at this point of the year every year? If we look at the ADP, this comes from Amixta, Anthony Amico from Twitter. If you look at the ADPs of the Green Bay running backs, Green Bay wide receivers for a little while, right? No, since 2012. 2012, the wide receiver 2 went with as the 11th wide receiver off the board. 2013, the 19th wide receiver off the board. 2014, the 9th. 15, the 22nd. 16, the 19th. 17, the 16th wide receiver off the board. And this year, his ADP is the 39th wide receiver off the board. That just doesn't seem to add up. So you're getting somebody who we've been picking as like the 9th to the 18th wide receiver for the last 5 or 6 years in that Aaron Rodgers offense. Rodgers is healthy again. He's going to be playing every single game just like he always does. And now we get to pick his number 2 target. Jordy Nelson gone. Devontae Adams, the number 1. Yes, he's going to utilize the backside of the backfield. Yes, they brought in Jimmy Graham, but he doesn't get the same target percentage that he used to. And tight ends in this offense don't usually get the usage that you would think, or that they're rumored to get, since like Jermichael Finley, which leaves Cobb at a great value, on ADP alone. So somebody that you're definitely going to want to consider in the mid rounds when you're picking your wide receiver 3 for your team. Going back to the original Blue Smith Center, we're going to look at Sammy Watkins, moving from the Rams, where he didn't really have a role because of the time that he went to that team and the matchups that he was getting on a week-in, week-out basis. He came in the middle of training camp last year, really didn't get a chance to get acclimated to a brand new system. He moved early this offseason. He goes to Kansas City and takes over a spot in an offense where there should be a lot of space. Safety is going to be way off the line because of the presence of Tyreek Hill. They have to worry about Kareem Hunt coming out of the backfield, so they're going to have 8 men in the box all the time. They have to devote a safety or a linebacker or somebody or both to worry about Travis Kelce over the middle, which allows Sammy Watkins to no longer really have to draw the best cornerback on the field and to not draw, cover 2 formation, to not have a safety floating over the top of him. He is historically great at efficiency on deep routes. He has a quarterback that can get the ball deep at least. We know that Mahomes has a really strong arm. We know that he's going to be working in one-on-one coverage and should be able to exploit some mismatches this year. I think that this is a great spot, I guess. He went to the exact right place that he has to have a bounce-back season. If you look at where he was being drafted last year versus where he's being drafted this year, his ADP has fallen a ton. So this is a player that I want to go after in Sammy Watkins as much as possible. The 26th wide receiver off the board. 61st overall. That is rising a little bit. You can get him in the middle of the 5th round more often than not, but he's somebody that you're going to want to take a look at pretty much all the time. So that's the player that I want to look at there. Next player off the board, we're going to take a look at Giovanni Bernard. Somebody else you have to consider in the middle rounds, but he's going more to the back end of this slate of people that I've been talking about, right? Last season, let's look at his game log real quick. These are games that Joe Mixon was playing. These are games that Joe Mixon was getting a whole lot of usage. 18 carries in week 17. I think he also had 18 carries, 16 or 18 carries in week 15. And Giovanni Bernard was extremely useful in those games. This is a player that people want to forget about. He's going as the running back 44 right now. Again, this is somebody who's on helium watch. He's rising a little bit. You're going to have to maybe nab him ahead of that running back 44, maybe take him as a running back 42 or 40 if it's coming up to your spot and the running back 40 is available and he's the running back 44 and a couple down on the list. You think he might make it back to you. He's probably not going to make it back to you. Going as 114th overall pick, but as I said, that is definitely rising. I know that Joe Mixon's going to be the lead guy, but if you look at Joe Mixon's ADP and where he's going in the 2nd round of drafts, sometimes falling into the 3rd round of drafts, Giovanni Bernard, somebody who comes at a ridiculously better value, going from the 9th to the 11th round in all these drafts. And now you have a situation where how can you avoid? How can you just simply avoid him, knowing that, look, he's going to get carries. He's going to get 10 carries. He's going to get 5, 6, 7 targets a game. For the value that you have to pay for him, I love the value here. He's somebody that I want to go after. Going back to the Red Studio, going to our next player here, it's going to be Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp led the Rams in targets in 2017. Red zone target market share, 26.14. Second on the Rams last year in red zone target market share, 12.5. That means he had 23 red zone targets and was one of the leaders in the league in that category. The second most targets on the team in the red zone, 11 on the Rams. They added Brandon Cooks this year, not really a red zone target in his own right. They're going to have a little bit of growth out of their 2 tight ends, Higbee and Everett, but Kupp is the one to own here, in my opinion, if you're not going to pay up to go get Brandon Cooks, who I would like more in best ball than in your season-long leagues. But if you're going after one of the Rams wide receivers in best ball, I want Cooper Kupp because of his touchdown upside. The guy that I really want to deal with here is him because, look, I want as much touchdown possibility as I can get. You look at his rapport with Jared Goff and you think about what he can do in his 2nd season when players generally take that leap, right? We saw the leap from Jared Goff last year. Now Cooper Kupp gets an opportunity to take that leap this year with another offseason in that offense, with another offseason working with Jared Goff. more acclimated, got time to rest his body. Rookies don't really get that time. They come out of college, they go straight into off-season training. Right after the football season, they go straight to the combine, to their pro day, to the draft, all the media, OTAs, then preseason. Once you're actually in the NFL, that second year, you wonder why players take that leap in their second year. They get 3 months off that they did not have going into their rookie year. Going into your rookie year, it's a big whirlwind. Right now, we saw Cooper Kupp look real good. He is older than Brandon Cooks after his rookie year. Okay, so this is a mature kid. This is somebody who is, understands how to live life at this point. He's not a 19 or 20-year-old just coming along. He is who he is. And I think we're going to see a little bit of growth from him, a little bit of growth in his numbers, a little bit of growth in his routes, a little bit of growth in that offense, because his role to me seems very defined. Runs the majority of his routes from the slot, so should avoid top corners all year. That should be going to Brandon Cooks. I think he gets a lot of one-on-one coverage. There's going to be stacked boxes all over the place because of the presence of Todd Gurley. Cooper Kupp, to me, just too cheap where he's going in drafts this year. And the final player that I want to talk about on this mid-round values podcast is Trey Burton, moving from Philadelphia, where he was stuck behind Zach Ertz, going now to the Bears, and going to really spread out wide. He's not going to be a typical tight end. You get to roster him at tight end, right? He's going as the 9th tight end overall on the list, off the board, 96th overall, and he's kind of holding there, not really moving. His ADP isn't rising, isn't falling, so you know where you can get him pretty much in every draft. Moves into a heavy target role in Matt Nagy's offense. He should run many of his routes from the slot or the H-back, so he's not going to be an inline tight end. He's going to be somebody that they move around, one of those pass-catching tight ends. It's not his job to be the blocker. When he's out there, he's going to run a ton of routes. Aside from Allen Robinson, not a lot of guys that can catch volume. We've seen what he can do when he's given volume. In the times that Zach Ertz has been out, we know this from playing daily fantasy, that he's been somebody that we want to target as much as possible in those situations. Well, now that's the situation every single week. He's got a second-year QB who's poised to take a leap, like we just spoke about with in the Cooper Kupp segment, as happened with Goff last year. We expect Trubisky to take a big jump this year. Again, entire offseason, working with his new coach. All of the players were in early. They've had workouts. They've had OTAs. They've had all the time to acclimate themselves to the new playbook, all the time in the world for him to evaluate film of his from last year to take improvements, and that's going to funnel down to his receivers like Allen Robinson and funnel down to his tight end in Trey Burton. He's performed very well the past 2 seasons, like we said. I think he has as much opportunity to be a top 5 tight end by the end of the year, and based on fantasy scoring, if he can stay healthy. But he's being drafted as the 9th tight end off the board. This is a guy who can start for you pretty much every week. I absolutely love his talent. I love the opportunity, which in fantasy football, way more important than the talent, is the opportunity, the targets, the routes run, and the snaps. And that's something that he's got this year, as well as all the other guys. So if you've made it to this point in the video, thank you guys very much for tuning in and watching. Be sure to pay me in the 3 ways that I asked. 1, like the video. 2, subscribe to the channel. 3, ring that bell so you know when I got new videos posted. And hey, if you got some guys that you think I missed or have comments on the guys that I talked about, leave them right down there in the comment section down below, and I'll be back to you next time with some more fantasy football talk. Thank you guys for being here. I'll catch you later. Bye.